Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. Ray Flowers breaks it all down for you from a fantasy sports perspective. Hey there, everyone. Ray Flowers of FantasyGuru.com. Hope you're feeling good this morning after what was likely to be a positive and happy experience yesterday for St. Patrick's Day. Hopefully you took the advice given on the show yesterday and you lived your best life, but also did it in a respectful way, whereas that you're not in jail right now and you're able to watch this live. So I hope you had a good time last night. Guinness, harp, Irish car bombs, Irish coffees. Buena Vista, shout out Buena Vista. Anyway, I had a nice night. Hopefully you did too. And welcome to the show today. I'm Ray Flowers of FantasyGuru.com. We're here every day, Monday through Friday on Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FG. 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I'm with you Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Justin Fensterman hosts on Wednesdays. Obviously, that'll be tomorrow, so he'll be here. Why am I not here on Wednesdays? Because I'm with Jeff Vance on the Elite Sports Show on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. So there's the difference. I'm on 5 days a week, just here 4 days a week. Tuesdays, we visit with Armando Marsal. We'll talk about that in a second. Wednesdays, Armando comes back and talks basketball with Justin Fensterman. Thursdays, it's football and Tyler Beaker. Fridays, it is Russell Clay and football as well. What are we doing on the show today? Well, here you go. For those of you watching live, we are talking baseball. Opening day. Did you realize opening day started yesterday? Yep. Opening day is a rocking and a rolling in Major League Baseball. We'll talk about that. Spencer Strider, Alexis Diaz, some good news there, some bad news there. Tobias Myers, Carlos Carrasco, Ryan Weathers, Spencer Steer, Brice Turang, Royce Lewis, Profar, Campbell, Kepler, Drury, Scott, lots to talk about here on the show. And then we'll visit with Armando Marsal. We're going to talk some football with him. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, obviously those big contracts. Cooper Kupp got a big deal. Diggs is still floating around. Where does Armando think is going to happen with Stefon Diggs? Mark Andrews, Cooper Rush, quarterback, played with the Giants. Kareem Hunt, Jordan Mason, Cam Ward, et cetera, et cetera. Don't forget to go to FantasyGuru.com. Sign up there for the product. Click the subscribe tab in the top right corner of the page. And have at it, folks. It's time to have some fun with us at FantasyGuru.com. We're doing football. We're doing baseball. We're doing basketball. We're doing pretty much everything. I'm slightly exaggerating, but pretty much everything we're doing, folks. So check it out over at FantasyGuru.com. All the products are available. You can always send a note to support@FantasyGuru.com. Support@FantasyGuru.com if you need a little bit of an assist. Also, as you're well aware, it's that time of year. Still time. The tournament starts today. Get in there. Get the draft guide for the guide, I guess, not really a draft guide. The guide for college basketball. Get it right now. The NCAA March Madness is available. Breakdowns of all the teams, members-only contests, live stream, tournament picks, brackets, all that kind of stuff. Head over to FantasyGuru.com. Click that subscribe tab in the top right corner. Right at the top of the page there, you'll see a little basketball in orange. Click on that to get signed up. It's baseball season too, and as I commented on the show yesterday, rocking and rolling is the baseball product at FantasyGuru.com. Massive level of questions the last couple of days. People really, I think, this seems to be the week everyone's drafting. So, send those questions to us over at Discord at FantasyGuru.com when you sign up for FG, whether it's for the seasonal baseball product, the wagering baseball product, or the product for DFS. You get access to the chat room for each of those. So you'll get to be signed up there, get a chance to ply the minds of folks such as myself, the people over at FantasyGuru.com helping you set your lineup. So check that out over at FG. By the way, lots still happening. We're still updating the rankings on a daily basis as necessary at FantasyGuru.com. You see there a list of all the rankings we have available. Underdog best ball rankings. We've got AL only rankings, NL only rankings, mixed league rankings, auction values for AL only, NL only, and mixed league. We've got rookie rankings. We've got points league rankings. We've got dynasty rankings. Lots of rankings, folks. That's the heart of the guide. Again, the rankings are updated as needed and usually daily at this point, including this morning. I was updating the rankings over at FG. So check that out. If you sign up for that baseball product, remember that you sign up for the baseball product, you get coverage now through the end of the regular season. So it's not just the preseason guide. We got you covered all the way through at FantasyGuru.com. As Angela wrote, I set the alarm for 5 and watched the game. Angela, I did not set the alarm for 5 and watch the game, but good for you watching the game. A true fan. And let's talk a little bit about it before we dive into the player breakdowns. For those of you that forgot or missed it or didn't set your lineup, hopefully you figured out how your league was handling this. Were these games counted that started today? There's a couple of games, across the ocean. Cubs and the Dodgers. Dodgers won 4-1 against the Cubs. Do those games count? Are they part of a larger week, which is these couple of games, and then all of next week? Are they null and void? Did you have to set your lineup yesterday? Hopefully you had made all those determinations to make all the right decisions. The Dodgers, again, did win that game 4-1. Yamamoto threw 5 innings of 1-run baseball through 72 pitches, allowed only 1 walk, struck out 4, pitched very well. Didn't get the victory, but pitched very, very well there. He did get the victory. What am I saying? He moved to 1-0. A strong start to his second season in the big leagues, as we talked about with Yamamoto in the season, prior to the season beginning. He really just needs health. He pitched very well last season, was limited to less than 20 starts. If he adds 10 starts to the number of last season, he's going to be very, very good this season. Tanner Scott got the save, not surprising. He threw 8 of 10 pitches for strikes, just blew away the Dodgers there, the Cubs in the 9th inning. On the Cubs side of things, Shohei Imanaga only threw 4 innings because he walked 4 guys. His pitch count was only 69, but that's a little high this early in the season for 4 innings of work, so they pulled him out. Did not allow a run, so at the end of the day, the run prevention was there, but he struggled a little bit. Ben Brown came in, gave up 3 runs, a couple of them earned. He ended up picking up the loss in relief through 65 pitches in his 2 2/3 innings. So that's how the pitching side of things went there for both of the squads. On the hitting side of things, Ian Happ had a base hit. Dansby Swanson had a base hit, and Miguel Amaya had a base hit. That was it for the Cubs. There was no offense here. They didn't do anything against the Dodgers. Amaya had the RBI. On the Dodgers side of things, Will Smith had 3 walks. Max Muncy didn't have a hit, but he walked twice. Also had 2 walks was Andy Pages, batting 9th for this team. The big hitter was Shohei Ohtani. Couple hits, couple of runs scored for him. A solid start to his season as well. As John G points out, I hate these games. It also helps the teams like the Dodgers get players from Japan. Absolutely helps teams get players from Japan, I think. I think that's fair. Whatever level that is, I think that's fair to point out. I don't like this. I talk about this all the time in football. It's not fair to fans here because fans in North America that support these teams on a daily basis, that have season tickets, Cubs are the home team. Not playing at Wrigley, so the Cubs fans lose games. It's not great for the players. They got to get ready earlier. They got to travel over there to play just a couple of games, and they got to fly back. It's long flights. I mean, LA to Japan is shorter, right? The Cubs, it's a long flight. So it's not ideal. The game's different. The stadium's different. The environment's different. It's just different. I think it's great for the game, for the sport of baseball, but I think it's unnecessary. I also think it's unnecessary. So Major League Baseball is not going to stop it, just like the NFL is not going to stop it. And as I say all the time in the NFL, remember, baseball fans, you're taking one on the chin here for baseball. It's not great for your team. It's not great for your players. It's not great for you if you own season tickets. You okay with that? Some people are. Some people aren't. All right. Okay, so that was the game yesterday. They'll play another game and then return to the States here. So a couple of games over there in Japan. Dodgers 4-1 in that game yesterday. Let's go to some of the player information to talk about. Spencer Strider. Wow. Spencer Strider came out yesterday. He faced 8 batters against the Red Sox. And to say he looked sharp was no joke. Was not an exaggeration. He was throwing 97, 98. He pumped in the ball after ball after ball, and the Red Sox could do nothing. He had 6 strikeouts and 8 batters faced. Quadzilla, woof. I mean, again, just absolutely amazing to watch him do that. Now, the question is, when does he return? Because we talked about it yesterday. Is he going to check the box? Is he going to look good? He checked the box, right? And then some. He looked fantastic. So the question becomes, when does he return? And as we said on the show yesterday, I think it's fair to say April. It really depends, as all these teams have to deal with the decisions of when to activate guys that, do they need Strider to be able to throw 80 pitches to activate him? Is it okay to activate him and go and throw 60, right? So they'll make that determination. But at this point in time, he's not going to be ready for opening day, but there's no reason to think he's not pitching in April for the Braves. That's great news for anyone that drafted him. Then, of course, the question becomes, how is he managed? Do they skip starts? Probably. Do they limit him to 75, 80 pitches, a bunch of his outings? Probably. that's because the Braves obviously want to make the playoffs and they need Spencer Strider in the playoffs. So we'll see how they handle Spencer Strider. But an excellent first showing. You got to feel good if you drafted him at this point. If you drafted Alexis Diaz, as I did, you can't be feeling really good at all. And this again is another example of why saves leagues are stupid. And I've said this for years. I don't know why people enjoy them. Alexis Diaz was drafted to get his 3.8 ERA and his 1.25 WHIP and save 28 games, right? And maybe he does all of that still, maybe. But he was brutally bad the other day in his last outing. The new manager, Terry Francona, after the game was not pleased with Diaz and all the walks and how he pitched. He's actually going to pitch in a minor league game today. He's pitching in a minor league game today. So there's obviously an open-ended question now. Is Diaz the closer of the Reds? Kind of seems like not at the moment. Not to say he won't lead this team in saves. He would still be my best bet to lead the Reds in saves this season. But remember, Francona's a new coach. Pagan has worked the ninth inning before. Barlow's worked the ninth inning before. They added Taylor Rogers. He's got a 30 save season under his belt. So again, if I was in a Souls league, I don't, Alexis Diaz, I'm taking him in the 22nd round. Like, who cares, right? You have to take him in the 8th, 9th, 10th round if you're doing a saves league. And, this is a scenario much like David Bednar, who we spoke of yesterday with the Pirates. Like, there are already two situations that appeared to be two of the top half situations in baseball. The Pirates have their closer. The Reds have their closer, right? If you weren't one of the people that grabbed Edwin Diaz, or, Devin Williams or Josh Hader, you were saying to yourself, I'm going to grab David Bednar, I'll get my 30 saves. I'm going to grab Alexis Diaz, get my 28 saves. And you were comfortable doing that a week ago. What if you drafted both of them? Save leagues are stupid. Here we go again. Before the season even started. Proof of that yet again. Tobias Myers, who, is he had a very effective season last year. He's going to start the season on the 15-day injury list with an oblique strain. No clarity on how much time he's going to miss. It is what it is. So it's probably 4 weeks, a month. They hope he's back at, it's what, April, I don't even know what day it is. Day after St. Patrick's Day, right? It's March 18th. So, maybe he's back in a month by the end of April. That seems very reasonable for the Brewers. It's important. The results were better than they anticipated, according to Pat Murphy, the manager. So that's good news. Now, again, they could have thought he blew this thing out. So, take that with a grain of salt. But the good news is it seems to be something that he can return from in April. I don't think anyone was drafting Tobias Myers and thinking anything other really than a streamer anyway. So this is not a significant blow. Now, the question is who takes over. Logan Henderson probably starts the season in the rotation. Didn't pitch very well yesterday. You look at the Brewers. Brandon Woodruff's not going to be ready for the start of the season. We just talked about Myers not being ready for the start of the season. Colin Ray is now with the Cubs. DL Hall is hurt. Aaron Ashby is hurt. Robert Gasser is hurt. Logan Henderson's a name to know, but we're not drafting him in mixed leagues. So this is one of those scenarios where, he's kind of forced into things. And if he starts well and people start making noise there, we can reassess. But right now, I'm just not into Logan Henderson, though it does appear he's going to start the season in the rotation for the Brewers. Speaking of the rotations, I knew the Yankees were in bad shape on the hill. Like, that much is obvious, right? Cole being down, Heel being down, these are significant. I mean, those two guys were expected to make 60 starts this year. Carrasco starting the season in the rotation for the Yankees is disastrous. If you're a Yankees fan, I feel for you. It is disastrous. Okay. It's hard to be much worse than that. If we're being honest. That is scary bad for the Yankees. Obviously, it's a scenario where you don't want any scenario with Carlos Carrasco's name behind it in an active rotation in Major League Baseball. Like, that's just death. So, they're doing what they can there. They're trying to piece this together. Even in the AL only league, no, can't be doing it. Just can't. Period. Can't be doing it. So, Carlos Carrasco. By the way, for those of you that are trying to watch on Twitter X, I don't know, we had another problem with the tech, but that's happening more and more frequently. I'll have to set a note to the tech department here to see what the heck's going on. Oh, now it looks like it's back live. I don't know what's going on with Twitter, but hopefully, you do know that you can watch the show. It's live now. It's okay. It's good. You can watch the show live on Twitter X at Fantasy Guru site. You can watch the show live at facebook.com/fantasyguruhq. You can watch the show live on YouTube at youtube.com/@elite+network. In all three of those spots, as we've already done today on the show, you can leave comments and questions live, and we can address those. Like Chris D said, Freddie Freeman was scratched from the game with rib discomfort. Yes, he was. They're saying it's no big deal. Mookie Betts didn't play yesterday because of illness. Freeman was out of the lineup. That's a situation that, again, they're suggesting it's no big deal. It's a little disturbing to hear that, Freeman wasn't in the game. Illness, okay. Health situation, so we'll continue to monitor that, see if Freeman is indeed active for the next game for the Dodgers or not. But yeah, leave comments. You can talk to each other. You can leave us questions, comments, concerns, all that if you're watching in those live spots. Okay, let's move on from the, oh my gosh, Carlos Carrasco, to Ryan Weathers. Ryan Weathers allowed 1 hit over 4 innings against the Mets. And I got to tell you, Ryan Weathers was in the Breakout Pitcher of the Year article over at fantasyguru.com. Was he the breakout pitcher of the year? Well, you have to subscribe to fantasyguru.com, read that article. Had a lot of success over the years, taking that pitcher with an ADP of 200, 250, 300, and saying he's going to break out. Last year it was Brian Wu, who broke out but didn't make enough starts to really break out. The year before that it was Justin Steele. He did break out, so we have some success doing this. Ryan Weathers was in that article, and he showed up in spring in good shape, and the velocity's up, and the stuff is pretty pronounced. And a lot of people are starting to get pretty excited about Ryan Weathers, not just us over at fantasyguru.com. Ryan Weathers has obviously gone up in the rankings at fantasyguru.com. I saw someone yesterday say, look, I did a draft about a week or two ago, and I just went and made a move and added Ryan Weathers. Good. There's obviously questions about depth into the season and, what's going on, with the team there and all that kind of thing. But Ryan Weathers has looked great this spring. An unearned run, 1 hit over 4 innings against the Mets yesterday, continuing to trend toward a positive outlook as the season begins. Maybe Ryan Weathers finally gets there. It's been a little bit longer path to success at the big league level than was anticipated, but he is definitely moving in the right direction. In about 10 or so minutes, we'll talk to Armando Marsal and have some football discussion with him. Spencer Steer. So I got a question about Spencer Steer on Twitter X. You can follow me, by the way, Twitter X, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, all the places at the Ray Flowers. I got a question this morning about Spencer Steer. And what do we do with Spencer Steer? And, Spencer Steer is somebody that you and I have talked about a lot on this show. There is no debating the fact that Spencer Steer he's been somebody because of the shoulder issue that has plummeted versus upon expectations when the rankings came out on January 6th. Steer was somebody coming into the season multi-position eligible in leagues, 2020 guy, he's going to play every day. Then we started getting some concerns about his shoulder, but it was minor, no big deal. Then the concerns about his shoulder started to increase. His value dropped in his positional rankings. We knocked a huge chunk off the auction value estimates. He's going to resume throwing today, and this is big. The question was basically, hey, we drafted Spencer Steer, and now it's all really about cost with Spencer Steer. Number one, it's about cost. Number two, it's about whether you have injured list spots or not. And number three, it's about how you build a team, right? Because, Spencer Steer, again, if he's dual position eligible, that's really nice and all of that. But, you've got to be able to back him up with players that can fill the same positions, right? So you kind of have to build some redundancy in with him. It's looking like opening day is going to be a no-go for him. I'm kind of anticipating at this point a stint on the injured list. That's another thing with him. He's been a guy that's played every day. So this is another. So today is big because if he goes out there and throws and it's not good, he's plummeting in the rankings because it's like, what are we getting then 120 games out of him? Is he going to have to DH every day? We've talked about this, what Spencer Steer DHing would have to do to this lineup. It would be bad news for CES. It would make the outfield situation even more jumbled. So big day for Spencer Steer. We don't really have an answer right now as to what to do with him, meaning that if you're drafting today, if you're drafting right now, if you're drafting in 10 minutes, Spencer Steer is somebody you draft as a depth play. He's not someone you draft as a starter. If I was going to be in a 12-team mixed league and I'm going to take Spencer Steer as my corner infield option, it's like I'm going to build some depth in there because you just have to do that. because of the uncertainty with the shoulder. Brice Turang. Brice Turang is somebody that I'm looking at really closely, and it's like, Brice Turang, 50 steals last year. Where's he going to hit? Is he going to hit leadoff? Is he going to hit lower in the order? There's some uncertainty there. There's some split stuff going on here. Then we get news that his shoulder is not just kind of there. They're running MRIs on his shoulder. And we've been talking about this all the time. We talked about yesterday with Jung-Hoo Lee of the Giants. You can run an MRI. It's a very common procedure, right? You sit in the tube, goes around you. They get you. And that's, as much as anything, that can be just to rule things out, right? So it's not, oh my gosh, he's going for an MRI, season's over. But this is not great with Brice Turang. And, you heard the team through Pat Murphy, the manager, say that, we're not really that concerned. We think he'll be ready for opening day, and he very well could be. He's also not going to throw for a couple of days after he struggled throwing yesterday. That's not good. That's a Spencer Steer scenario, right? Like, are you going to, Brice Turang is going to be your DH? Well, maybe if they had to, but that's not an answer long term. He's obviously trending toward a direction of playing second base with Joey Ortiz playing shortstop. Keep an eye on Brice Turang, because Turang has to play, because his only real carrying trait is the stolen base. And if he's missing games, doesn't have enough power, doesn't have enough run production, like, it just doesn't work. He needs 575 plate appearances. If it's 425, it just doesn't work. So I'll have to keep a close eye on that, but that's concerning with Brice Turang's shoulder. Royce Lewis, who we talked about yesterday, who I basically said, look, I'm sorry, I'm just out. MRI confirmed that Royce Lewis has a moderate left hamstring strain. Moderate is good news. That is suggestive of the fact that he's not going to be out long term. It's also the admission that this guy's dealing with something, and it's very likely, if not outright going to happen, he's going to start the season on the injured list. The question now becomes how long. Brooks Lee could start the season at third base, it seems like, at this point. I don't think they want to do the Jose Miranda thing, so Brooks Lee maybe. Lee, Miranda, if we hear that Lewis is out 8 weeks, it's different. If we're hearing like 3 weeks, kind of what I'm guesstimating at this point in time, 3 to 4 weeks, and there's not really an obvious pivot there. Obviously, the Twins are going to play Royce Lewis when he's healthy, and if he's not going to miss for 2 months of action, not really a pivot there with the Twins, though. Of course, if you drafted Royce Lewis, you need to make a pivot at your third base position. Jurickson Profar's got a wrist issue, is making progress toward a return. There is still some time here before the season begins. He's been able to take some batting practice, has Profar, which is good news. Expect him to return to games this week. Still seems like he should be ready for opening day. Coming back from that wrist issue, of course, it's a wrist issue, which is always, to me, concerning. Wrists and hands are always concerning to me for batters. He's got potential to hit in the top third of the order for the Braves, which is huge, but he needs to be out there. And there's always the threat now that his season starts slowly because of this time that he's missed and because of his health situation. Does he have his full strength, that kind of thing? So Profar has not been somebody I've been stressing for anybody to draft or been pursuing myself. And I think that's the prudent position. I think he's going to have a difficult time replicating fully what he did last season. But if he's hitting second, because they're dropping Michael Harris down in the order, if that's something that sticks, especially when Ronald Acuna returns, maybe you'll end up striking a little bit of lightning with Jurickson Profar this year, as you did last year. Moving on to the Red Sox, this one continues to be, we spent so much time talking about, would Alex Bregman play second and would Rafael Devers play third, that, we talked about this the other day too. The situation is that the Red Sox simply haven't made a decision at second base yet. And Alex Cora, the manager, said, look, we haven't made a decision, and Kristian Campbell's still in this discussion. Okay, it seems like David Hamilton's going to be a reserve. I'm starting to get the sense that Vaughn Grissom's going to start the year in the minors and that Kristian Campbell's got a legitimate chance to be the second baseman of this team on opening day. Now, I just updated the rankings at second base, given this report this morning at fantasyguru.com. So I did make a shift there. So Campbell now is ahead of Grissom. Again, I'm not sure that works out. Now, a lot of people are very bullish on Kristian Campbell with good reason. He's a high-end prospect who's got a lot of intrigue on the offensive side of things. We just don't have a confidence level in terms of what the plate appearance total is going to be. If he starts the season and he struggles, does he hold off on Grissom and David Hamilton? If he starts the season in the minors and those guys start off well, do we not see Kristian Campbell till July? It's one of those scenarios that, really tough to feel good about in a mixed league. But if you're taking Campbell, who is of Hamilton, Grissom, Campbell is the most intriguing. I'm still a fan of Von Grissom, but David Hamilton can obviously run, though he's limited with the bat. Campbell is the most intriguing, but it's just unclear who's going to be the second baseman when the season begins for the Red Sox. Max Kepler has got a back issue. He's undergoing further testing. They said, not a big deal when he ran into the left field wall, and maybe it's not. But as we talk about all the time, back issues, they're not easy to deal with. As you get older, Max Kepler's not old, but as you get older, he's in his 30s now, right? How old is Max Kepler? Let's look up Max Kepler. I'm going to say Max Kepler is 31. How close am I? Probably learn how to type and probably there we go. Learn how to get. He's 32. Okay, so he just turned 32 in February. So it's there. He's expected to face right-handed pitching out there every day for the Phillies. So he is somebody that has been drafted in mixed leagues. We'll continue to monitor this scenario. Hopefully he'll be back and ready to go for opening day. Not hearing anything against that position. We'll see how it goes. Brandon Drury, who no one should care about in a mixed league, but in an AL-only league, we should. Brandon Drury is with the White Sox. He had 3 more hits yesterday. He is now 16 for 39 with 3 home runs and 11 RBIs. He figures to play every day for the White Sox as long as he's healthy. Why? So he can rack up good numbers, and the White Sox can trade him for younger pieces. That's the move. Everyone knows that's the move. That's what they're attempting to do. He was dreadful last season, but each of the previous 2 years, he was like a 25-75 guy. It could happen again this year. Again, it's the White Sox. They're not going to score a lot of runs. I think that Drury, if he does have that success that we just mentioned, does get traded. So if he gets traded, he probably gets traded to a reserve role. So again, this is not a go run to the waiver wire and draft him scenario, or draft him or add him off the waiver wire scenario in a mixed league. But just pointing out, he's been blazing hot. And, for those of you that want to get wild at the start of the season in DFS or something like that on a low price point, maybe Brandon Drury is someone you can look at. And finally, before we talk to Armando Marsal and discuss some football with him, Victor Scott continues to hit. He just does. And, Siani, who's the other guy that he's basically battling with for playing time. Though remember, Jordan Walker still got that knee issue. We're not positive Jordan Walker's ready for opening day. It's starting to look more and more like Victor Scott's going to get a chance to not only make the team, but be in the starting lineup for the Cardinals. And that's something. Because as we've said over and over again, if there's an out-of-nowhere Brice Turang this year, it's Victor Scott. Scott, a couple more hits yesterday. Also hit his second home run in that game yesterday. He's now batting .370 with a .470 on-base percentage. It's a small sample size, but that's some amazing work. Siani's hitting .114 with a .114 slugging. He's a better defensive player, but that's horrid work with the bat. Scott is a blazer on the base paths, and his bat is blazing hot right now, too. Scott's going to be going up in the rankings at fantasyguru.com and late in drafts. If you're looking for a guy to steal some bases that, depending, if your league is sharp, Scott will get drafted. If your league is kind of new, if people aren't really paying attention, if it's a thinner league, check it out. Victor Scott trending toward being a fantasy star. No, not a fantasy star, but trending toward being a usable asset in mixed leagues, coming to a park near you, Victor Scott. So there's the baseball talk for today. Every Tuesday, we visit with this gentleman who you see on the show all the time. He's on Tuesdays with me. He's then on Wednesdays as well with Justin Fensterman. He covers basketball. He covers football. He does a podcast. Go to fantasyguru.com, click the Elite Plus tab at the top of the page. You'll find this show catalog, so you can see listen to all the old episodes in that podcast form. You can also type in Fantasy Sports Daily to your podcast network to find us. But go to fantasyguru.com, click that Elite Plus tab. You'll find this show. You'll find Justin Fensterman's show. You'll find Jeff Mann's show. And you'll find Mind of Marsal from our next guest, Armando Marsal. So let's bring in Armando Marsal at fantasyguru.com. Happy St. Patrick's Day after. Armando, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Ray. How about yourself?
I'm doing okay. Yeah, it's we had some tech issues this morning. I don't know. The tech gods are not with me today, Armando. It's not my fault. I did everything right. I'm blameless. But we're here. We're good to go now. We're visiting with you. Did you do anything for St. Patrick's Day? Did you celebrate at all?
Oh, no, my son had he played baseball. He had a baseball game last night, so he was helping out his cousin's team. So we went there. So that's what I did. Just watch him play baseball and hang out there. But no. I saw you partook in the festivities. You drank a green beer yesterday.
I did, yeah, and it's so funny. People are so lame. So I did post a photo of me drinking a green beer, and it was in a Guinness glass. And someone said, "That's not a Guinness." Of course, it's not a Guinness because you can't make brown beer green. Point number one. Point number two, it actually was made by the same company because it was a heart beer. So, and I just found it interesting that, hey, happy St. Patrick's Day, Ray, but it's not a Guinness. People find really weird things to point out sometimes, right? I don't know.
I mean, what does it matter? It's beer in a beer mug. Does it matter? I mean, so what was is a harp?
It's a harp, yeah, which is made by Guinness.
That's a really good beer, actually.
It is. I like it too. Yeah,
yeah,
but it's made by Guinness. It's their lager. It's a Guinness, so it was a Guinness. But yeah, it's a good beer, and it's not expensive, right? It's very moderate.
Yeah, it's not. I usually drink it when I go to like Epcot with the family. They have an English or an England bar or something there,
okay.
And they have Guinness. Best Guinness. If you're ever there, best Guinness I've ever had. It's on tap.
Really?
Best. It's like it's like a milkshake. It's so good.
Right.
But yeah, if you're ever at Epcot, go try that out.
Yeah, I was 16 when I went there, so I couldn't partake. But I had a heart beer, I had a Guinness, and I had an Irish coffee. So I kind of did all three of them last night. I was over like 4 hours. I wasn't like drunk or anything, but I celebrated homemade corned beef, the whole thing, potatoes, cabbage. My lady hooked me up, so it was a good night, Armando. So good night. Nice. Glad you're with us today. Thanks for joining us as you do every Tuesday at about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. Lots to talk about in football. We have to start out with the news. I touched on it yesterday, but I wanted to dive into it more with you today. Obviously, the Bengals making a decision to give Joe Burrow his top two options at wide receiver, both Higgins and Chase signing 4-year deals, $161 million for Chase, the largest contract ever given to a non-quarterback. T. Higgins, 4 years, $115 million. They're talking about still trying to figure out Hendrickson. I don't know how they would do that with these two guys, but when you're basically paying your two top wide receivers, $70 million a year? I mean, it's great for fantasy, right? But can that work? That's a lot of money for two wide receivers, Armando.
It is a lot of money for two wide receivers. Like, look, Chase, we've talked about him, arguably the best receiver in football, if not one of the just top overall players in the game. So I understand that T. Higgins, in order to keep him around, that's kind of where you were going to have to pay him. You saw Jalen Waddle, I think it was $110 million a couple of years ago. So you're looking at that kind of price range for him. The issue is when you're allocating so much of your salary cap into two players, you're going to have a lot of deficiencies, I think, in the rest of your roster. You mentioned they're going to try to keep Hendrickson around. That's probably going to kind of drag on now for a couple of weeks, maybe months. We don't know what's going to happen there. This is an offensive line that they still have to continue to build around. Like, there's still a lot of pieces for Cincinnati that they're missing to really get there to that next level. We've seen some of the other teams, get stronger. Baltimore has gotten a lot stronger. So you've seen some teams get stronger here. So for me, yes, look, they're obviously this offense is going to be rolling. Joe Burrow has, two great receivers here that he's throwing the ball to, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to win you Super Bowls. When you look at the complete roster, I think the offensive line is something I still think they need to continue to work on. And then now with, how are they going to attract, big name players or efficient players in some of these positions of need when you don't have too much money to spend?
Yeah, and don't forget as well, and I know you don't, listener, don't forget, they also gave 3 years, $25 million to Mike Gesicki.
Correct.
I mean, Mike Gesicki's fine, but that's a big chunk of money to a guy that's kind of an ancillary piece of your offense. And going back to Higgins for a second, Armando, they paid him what they had to pay him, to your point, right? That's what it costs. He's the highest paid number 2 wide receiver in NFL history. Once in 4 years, he's played all the games. And the last 2 years, he's played 12 and 12 games. And that's a concern for the offense. That's a concern for fantasy. And it's a concern when you're spending that much money. They're paying him to, catch 90 passes for 1,100 yards and 10 touchdowns. He's played 12 and 12 games the last 2 years. He's missed 10 games the last 2 years. So even that piece doesn't make much sense either, because it's not like they're going to be able to sign a bunch of depth receivers behind these two guys because they're spending so much money at the top.
Yeah, correct. The depth behind them is not going to be all that appealing. I wonder if there's any type of clause in that contract. Like, to me, that's always interesting when it's these kind of players that have, injury track records and whatnot. If there is some type of clause where he has to play a certain amount of games, and maybe that's not made public, but I am interested to see if if that is something within the, the clause or within the dialogue of that contract. So, but yeah, to your point, I mean, it's always a risk. Like with someone like them, like just like when Miami signed to, like those kind of things are risky because that there's a track record of injury. So hopefully he could stay healthy. I really want to see him healthy all season, Chase healthy all season, Burrow healthy all season, like all together. Like it would be so great to watch. And again, I think this defense is going to be a big liability though. So I think this offense is going to have to score too many points on a week-to-week basis. For fantasy, great. For actual football and NFL, I don't know if it's sustainable.
Yeah, they're gonna have to win games 34-31. Good luck doing that. Yeah, it's not easy to do. Armando Marsal at fantasyguru.com. Before we move on here, Armando, Angelo said Yingling Black and Tan is as good as Guinness and cheaper. I don't think I've ever had Yingling Black and Tan. Have you ever had that since we were talking beer?
I tried it, but it's nowhere near Guinness.
Angelo, fighting words.
Sorry, but it's so. I've tried it, but it's not. I mean, so Guinness is just different. I'm not, and I don't like those heavy beers like that. Maybe that's why the Yingling Black and Tan for me was not. I don't really. The only one I enjoy is a Guinness, and I prefer it on draft. Like a Guinness, it's either draft or a can, right? Like I prefer the can over the bottle. I'm one of those guys, but yeah, but I'm not a big of the heavy beers like that.
I haven't looked at myself. I just realized I'm wearing a green shirt, and so my green screen.
Oh yeah,
my neck. See, body weight number 7.
Ray, you're wearing the same. I thought for a second you were wearing there was a draft guide shirt that
Royal shirt. Yeah,
no, I was like, wait a minute, you guys have a draft guide shirt that I don't know about?
Does it even show it at all? Yeah, it's a Garfield shirt.
There you go. Oh yeah, I see the I see Garfield.
It's Garfield.
Okay,
but it's green.
See that. Yeah, I see that, but I don't see the green. I just see.
Yeah. Well, sorry everybody. I just realized my neck has been. I didn't realize this morning when I'm wearing a green shirt because I have a green screen, which ruins everything. So now it looks like I have a neck again. We'll figure it out. Armando Marsal of fantasyguru.com. We've heard reports that Cooper Kupp wanted a lot of money. We heard reports that he wanted $15 million, which is ridiculous a year. He got $15 million a year. He got it from Seattle. There was a lot of connections there because of his history and everything like that. I don't think 3 years, $45 million for Cooper Kupp is crazy. Okay, so we just heard $110 million to T. Higgins. What is Seattle doing? Because aren't JSN and Cooper Kupp basically the same guy? Aren't they basically underneath slot guy? And they grabbed Marquez Valdez-Scantling to go deep. Great for him. He'll catch his 37 passes and 3 touchdowns. But don't they have redundant players here that kind of fill the same role on offense?
It feels that way, right? Like I feel like they're looking for a veteran presence. I'm very surprised with what they're doing. So they got rid of Lockett Metcalf. You mentioned these are 2 guys that can stretch the field. JSN is more of that underneath guy, that slot receiver. Now they added a second slot receiver. I'm interested to see how they utilize both of these guys. I don't think they're going to move JSN to the outside. Wouldn't make sense to me. So I think you're going to see a lot of short passes here, like a lot of quick plays, quick passes here for Seattle. I think they're going to try to establish the run here as well. So interested to see what they do with these 2 guys. But yeah, I think the price itself at $45 million for 3 years, I don't think that's a bad contract for Cooper Kupp. If he can stay healthy, he's shown that he still has, some gas left in the tank. He was really efficient early on last season. Just interested to see how they utilize these 2 players. Because like you said, like they are the same guy here. Now you have Sam Darnold. And this is good for Sam Darnold, right? Like you add a piece here for him. There was a lot of concerns of what was going to happen. I think this move needed to happen. Wouldn't be surprised if they continue to add some receivers here, though, because I do think they do still need help at the position. Like you mentioned, MVS. I mean, yeah, he was going to catch 2-3 touchdowns, but he's also going to drop those 2-3 bombs. They're beautiful. He's open, and it just does not happen. He cannot come down with the catch. So I'm interested to see what Seattle continues to do, though.
Armando Marsal at fantasyguru.com. And Armando's also handling the updated free agent tracker over at FG, so everyone you can familiarize yourself. Lots of signings. Some of them you forget about. You'll go to do your draft, like, oh, he's on this team. So Armando continues to update that on a daily basis as needed. And the next guy hasn't found a team yet. There's actually 2 receivers. Amari Cooper and Stefon Diggs are kind of both there, and for obvious reasons for both of them. But two veteran guys that, 1,000-yard seasons, all this kind of goodness. There's a report from the ESPN that Stefon Diggs could be a target of the Rams. Of the Raiders. Makes all the sense in the world. They've got Brock Bowers, fantastic. They've got Jacoby Myers, great. And they got nothing. That's like their starting running back right now. Was it Raheem Mostert? Like the depth at the wide receiver spot is Trey Tucker. And they've got nothing. So Stefon Diggs going there to catch passes from Geno Smith makes all the sense in the world from what the team needs to do. Does that make any sense for you from what Stefon Diggs wants to do?
Oh, no.
Does anyone know what Stefon Diggs wants to do?
I thought you were going to say if it makes sense for the Raiders. Absolutely makes a lot of sense for the Raiders. If Stefon Diggs wants to win, if his goal is to win championships, this is not the place for him. Like, this is a team that there's just no hope really right now, like, to win right away. I think there's obviously it's a rebuilding situation for them. It does make sense. They do need a receiver. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago where Jacoby Myers, he's good, but is he the number one? Is he a number one? Not really. Stefon Diggs, obviously good to return from an injury there. So we have to see how he comes back there. But no, I don't think this is ideal for Stefon Diggs if he wants to win. Now, if he just wants to, collect the paycheck and go catch passes and beef up the stats, sure, because he is going to get peppered with an abundance of opportunities here. I think when you mentioned it, there's now a big supporting cast, a team that I expect should be playing from behind often. So I do think there's going to be some opportunities here for him as a pass catcher. But to win games, there are so many other places that he can go to that can use a receiver with his talent. So I'm not locked in that he ends up in Las Vegas though.
Armando Marsal of fantasyguru.com. Let's go to the tight end position, Armando, for a second and talk about what the Ravens did. Now, there's been a lot of back and forth about Mark Andrews. Obviously, the season didn't end well for him. People blaming him for the loss and everything in the playoffs. He dropped the ball at the goal line. But he started slowly last year. Obviously, everyone had to have Isaiah Likely after his huge week 1 performance. We saw how that went over the course of the season. Andrews obviously ended up surpassing him by a substantial margin. He was scoring touchdowns every week for like 3 months. I'm exaggerating a little bit. 2 months. And so there was questions, though, about his advancing age and his contract and all that. The Ravens picked up the $4 million roster bonus that was due. Obviously, they're not doing that if they're planning on getting rid of him. So the expectation now is that Mark Andrews will indeed be back with the Ravens. How do we view the tight end position? Is it just more of the same that we'll start each year to see a little bit of regression? Because though Andrews scored touchdowns, he wasn't catching 90 passes or anything like that. Are we going to see more of a leveling off here as Andrews ages with Isaiah Likely around? And is it getting to the point where Mark Andrews is no longer, I got Mark Andrews at tight end, I'm super cool. It's, I've got Mark Andrews at tight end and I'm okay?
So I think from a fantasy standpoint, I do think you have to view it that way, right? Like I still think he could end up being a top 12 tight end, but is it going to be consistent or is it going to be, up and down, volatile week to week production? I think for the Ravens, this moves makes a lot of sense because he's a key piece to this offense. And yes, he dropped that pass or whatnot, but he also, caught 11 touchdowns last year. That's a big number for them, right? And even if he's not going to give you, 6 to 7 catches each week and a touchdown, and like what he was doing in his peak of this career, he's still a very crucial part of what they do and the identity of this offense. And I think that that's going to continue. They added Hopkins here. So this is a team that's just making all the moves to really make that run, right? Like they were right there last year. They could have been there last year.
Mm-hmm.
Had he come down with that catch, we would maybe have a different conversation. But again, I think that this was a smart decision from a football perspective, from a fantasy perspective. It really depends on where he's going to go. Am I anti Mark Andrews? No. Am I going to be exhausting an early or, even mid-early draft pick on him? Maybe not. I just don't know if he's going to be consistent enough to return value at that draft, capital. So for me, it depends on where he's going in draft boards when I start drafting. But yeah, I think his production might be week to week. It's going to be inconsistent given, how they're going to utilize him. They don't need to, it's kind of maybe like what Kansas City did with, what they've done with Kelsey, where they kind of reserve him and, unleash him in the postseason. Maybe we see something like that with Andrews, but not to the drastic change that we saw with Kelsey.
Armando Marsal of fantasyguru.com. It's interesting. I saw this signing that we're going to talk about next. And I thought, this doesn't make any sense. And then I heard the Elite Sports Show. It's Monday through Friday on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio at 3 o'clock Eastern Time. And I heard Jeff Mans go nuclear, which he's always a little more aggressive than I am saying these things. But we had the same thought process, and that is, and we've said this so often, when you're getting a backup quarterback, like we talked a lot about this pointedly with Anthony Richardson and Joe Flacco. Like having Joe Flacco there as a backup quarterback, fantastic. Joe Flacco couldn't be more different than Anthony Richardson if you tried. Like the whole offense has to change when you make that decision. The Ravens, who have Lamar Jackson, they're not going to find Lamar Jackson. Okay, they signed Cooper Rush, who is basically Joe Flacco to Anthony Richardson here. It doesn't make any sense stylistically. Cooper Rush is a fine backup quarterback. Like that's a good move for a football team to have him as your backup quarterback. But they gave him $12 million in a 2-year deal to back up Lamar Jackson. They can't run the same offense. And it's not, and I've seen people talking about this on social media, Armando, and they kind of like, well, you just change the offense. Week 9 happens, Lamar Jackson gets hurt. You're going to change the offense? Like when people say that, I know when they're saying that they never played football because you can't really do that, Armando, in season.
No, you can't. I agree. Like you always want to have a quarterback behind your quarterback with at least similar skill sets or that can run the offense to maybe not as efficiently, but at least to a certain capacity, right? Like not completely change it. And now it's like you're running an entirely different offense. That doesn't make sense. I will say it is an upgrade from Josh Johnson. So in that perspective, I think that's a win, but I agree with you. I feel like, there are maybe other options or better options out there that they may have considered. And maybe, I mean, look,
Colin Kaepernick, would you have done that? I mean, totally unproven, but stylistically very similar.
Yeah, I think so. I think you can make a case for that. To a certain extent, no, you can't. Really, Jameis Winston not really the same quarterback either. Right. But I don't know. Wouldn't Jameis Winston make a little bit more sense with his ability to throw the ball a little bit more than Cooper Rush?
Well, I mean, like I said, I think Cooper Rush
or Daniel Jones would have been one because Daniel Jones. So, okay, I think Daniel Jones is a better example here because Daniel Jones doesn't have the same wheels that Lamar Jackson has, and it's not even they're not even particularly close as far as quarterbacks. But Daniel Jones can run the football. Daniel Jones can do certain things that Lamar Jackson can do, maybe, and obviously not as good as Lamar Jackson. But there's some, similarities between the two quarterbacks when you look at skill sets.
Yeah, I mean, Cooper. We both said Cooper Rush is a fine backup quarterback. Like if Cooper Rush was backing up Brock Purdy in San Francisco, I think the Niners would feel good about that. Right? It's just weird because with the way, especially the Ravens, who are so. I heard people say we have Derrick Henry. Yeah, but no. Like it's just Anyway, we're belaboring the point here. You mentioned Jameis Winston. The Giants. I mean, I guess the Giants and the Steelers both are circling the drain here, and everyone. Aaron Rodgers has found a way to stay relevant, even though he's really not. Like everyone's fighting apparently over Aaron Rodgers at this point. But the Giants, they really want Aaron Rodgers, it sounds like. They've had Jameis Winston come in. They've had Russell Wilson come in. They've had Joe Flacco come in. Does any of this matter? I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, does it matter who the Giants quarterback is? When their only goal is to throw the ball 12 times to Malik Neighbors each week, does it really matter?
I think it matters to a certain extent because at least it's for fantasy purposes. I think not as far as Giants winning or not. I think for fantasy purposes it matters. I think it's a big difference if you got someone like Jameis Winston throwing the ball to Neighbors versus DeVito or maybe Flacco. Flacco still at times can sling it, but I think there's a slight difference here. But I agree with you. I think the goal is to 10 to 15 targets per week for Malik Neighbors. As you're trailing by 14 points and, kind of figure it out as you go. I'm still hopeful and I'm hoping that they do sign Jameis Winston. I just want that for Malik Neighbors. I truly do. Nothing more than that, just for Malik Neighbors.
Angela, by the way, says Cousins is one expensive backup quarterback. He is. Jeff Vance also went nuts on this yesterday, how the Rams, I think the phrase Jeff used multiple times, did him dirty. With the way Falcons, did Cousins dirty. So, he is one expensive backup, and apparently that's the way he's going to stay this year. Let's go to the running back position, Armando. And I've seen these questions come up consistently in Discord over at fantasyguru.com. Pacheco was the starting running back for the Chiefs last year. He then got hurt. came back late in the year, wasn't at 100%, shared the backfield. People were assuming, well, Pacheco takes the backfield back over again. Maybe he does. Maybe that is the plan in Kansas City. I don't know. But what I do know is they brought back Kareem Hunt again. So all the people that have been adding Isaiah Pacheco thinking he's getting 18 touches a week for this offense, I don't know if they should think that. Now, again, Kareem Hunt, he is what he is. He's an aging player. He doesn't have the juice that Pacheco has, all these kind of things. And they only signed him to 1 year, $1.5 million contract. So I guess in theory, Kareem Hunt may not even make the opening day roster, okay? But does that change your view specifically on Pacheco? Because don't forget, they also brought in Elijah Mitchell. So that does not seem like a team in Kansas City that is sold on Pacheco carrying the ball 16 times a week.
As things stand today, I want to avoid this backfield. I am feeling a committee in full effect here. Like, Hunt knows his backfield. He knows his offense. He knows his system. You mentioned that they utilized him last year. I think he will make, like, obviously barring any injury or anything like that, I think he will make the roster. He's the kind of back that they like having there. You mentioned Mitchell. Like, I don't know. I'm not confident that Pacheco is going to get the 18 to 20 opportunities per game. Can he get the 14 to 16? Sure. But are there going to be some frustrating weeks? I think so. So at least it's things today. We have to see, obviously, there's so much time between now and the start of the season. But right now, I do have some concerns as far as how much volume exactly Pacheco will be getting here in 2025.
Armando, we're talking about the Niners. The Niners' other running back, Mike Mitchell's gone to Kansas City. The other running back they had, opening up things now for Isaac Arendo to be the backup to Christian McCaffrey, was obviously Jordan Mason. Mason stepped in last season, was running for 100 yards a week before he got hurt. He's now going to the Vikings. He'll be the number 2 back behind Aaron Jones, but we've heard all offseason that the Vikings want to go more committee. Jordan Mason's a different type of runner than Aaron Jones. We've talked about Aaron Jones before. What's your thought on the backfield of the Vikings now that they've added Jordan Mason?
I like this. I mean, I like this for Mason. I like this for the Vikings. Do I think he's going to be the starter? No, but I think he's going to be part of a committee, and I think he's going to get a decent amount of opportunities. You mentioned he's a different type of runner than Jones is. I wouldn't be surprised if Mason ends up getting some of the goal line work there, some of the short yardage stuff there. So I'm interested to see how this works out and kind of how they distribute the touches and the opportunities in this backfield. But I do think that this makes this Vikings backfield just much stronger right now going into the season. So it might be a little bit of a headache for fantasy purposes at times. I still think Jones is going to be their guy. I still think he'll receive more of the opportunities. I don't want to say the majority because the 55-45 it is the majority, but not by much. 60-40 maybe, something like that. I wouldn't be surprised. So, but I do think Jones will be their primary back, with Mason still getting some valuable opportunities. I wouldn't be stunned if they utilize them a lot in the red zone.
Armando Marsal of FantasyGuru.com. Correct me if I'm wrong, Armando, but I believe that the Cleveland Browns have the number 2 pick in the draft this season. We're hearing reports that they might trade up to get the number 1 pick. Does that make any sense to you? Is Cam Ward that good? Like, everything, again, I don't study the college guys until they get drafted, but I have not heard anyone say generational talent or anything like that with Cam Ward. Does it make any sense for the Browns to trade up to spend whatever, which would be big, to jump one little spot to get Cam Ward?
I don't think so. But I think this is what the Browns might do. And it's an organization that has made a lot of mistakes like this in the past. Look, I'm not saying Ward is not going to pan out. My thoughts on Ward is he has a lot of skills. He has obviously a lot of the tools, but I think he's going to benefit from landing in a good situation and not a poor situation. I don't think he's the quarterback that's going to, save the Browns. I think he's more suited for a franchise, a team where they're going to put the right pieces around him and stuff like that. And just with Cleveland's history here, it's not something I've seen them do quite often. So I'd be concerned. If I'm Ward, I'd be concerned going to Cleveland. And if I'm a Browns fan, I'd be concerned if they make such a drastic move where they give up a lot of future assets for Ward, who, again, I like this draft class to a certain extent, but I don't see anyone like a true generational talent, like you said.
Armando Marsal at FantasyGuru.com. Go to FG, click that subscribe tab in the top right corner to get the baseball coverage, the football coverage, the basketball coverage that Armando is also a part of. That's the MVP plan. Basically, the MVP plan is everything other than baseball and football. So check that out over at fantasyguru.com. Got a few minutes left here, Armando, and as you have been doing with us recently, you've been bringing excitement to the show in the form of baseball cards. And I believe you have a 1992 Topps pack to open with us today. Is that accurate?
I do. It's so right here, 1992. Got Topps.
Let me ask you a question. I have heard, and I don't have any analysis on this other than I heard it on the interwebs, that people are actually buying old cards, going through the packs, and then repacking them. So they save the wrappers or whatever, they pull out the good cards and they repack. So you buy the 1992 Topps, it's actually been opened before. They took 2 packs, took all the good cards out and made 1 pack out of it. Have you heard of this, or is this like an urban myth that doesn't actually happen?
I have not heard of it, but I wouldn't be surprised. I have heard of people like being able to see some of the newer cards, like you could see kind of the cards, like if you. Well, I have no idea.
The rack packs, the cello packs, you could see if the guy was on top. It was clear. Yeah.
So I've heard of that. Like you could kind of like look through the packs and stuff like that. But no, I haven't heard of that. Would I be surprised? No. These are the ones that you know what, I wouldn't be surprised if I'm one of those suckers buying those packs, right? And that's okay. Like it's not that I just do it for the kids stuff and whatnot. I have two Donruss 19. I think the Diamond Kings. It's 1991 or 92. I have 2 boxes. Those are sealed, factory sealed and stuff like that. I haven't opened them, but that I'm just gonna leave in there. See what there's. I think there's a Ken Griffey card in there, potentially in those packs that that's worth something. But I don't know yet. It's in there. It's factory sealed. I haven't touched it.
I'm looking at like the most expensive cards in this set. Ken Griffey Jr. apparently is like $60.
Yeah.
So there, it is a pretty cool looking card if you were to pull that. I guess Nolan Ryan.
This one?
Yeah, Nolan Ryan's about $60. All
right, we'll see if we got any Nolan Ryan's.
Don Mattingly we're looking at. Cal Ripken. Let's go, Armando. Pull some good ones out of this.
Let's
Penny Lofton rookie card. Let's go.
All right, let's see what we got here. All right. Oh, look, the edges are good on these, so that's good.
Nice.
That's a good start. All right, let's see.
Are they back to back again like last time, where there's stats on both sides? They're not in order?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, it was like this. So I'm just
like you're shopping. Right. Yeah.
There we go.
Okay.
I like the first one already. We started off good here.
All right.
We got Bobby Bonilla.
Nice. Obviously, Bobby Bonilla famous for having the contract.
He's still getting paid, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's got like 1 more year or something. Steve Phillips, who I work with on Sirius XM, we've talked about it off air so many. Like he's so, I'm ahead of the time. Look at the Dodgers is what they do now. All this deferred stuff. So he's taking credit for what the Dodgers have been doing recently with their salaries.
Yeah, so he's still getting paid.
Yeah.
Kirk Dressendorfer. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly or not, but I tried my best.
You did. Well, when you're with the Athletics, no one cares, so it's all right.
I don't know who he is.
I don't have a fond memory of him there, though. That looks like a photo from the Coliseum as well. Look, I can help you with there.
All right, this guy looked like he was ready to hit Hector Villanueva.
Hector Villanueva, yeah. Look at that mustache.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That mustache is serious.
That's pretty. It almost looks like it's drawn in, like it's so dark and perfectly.
Yeah,
he could be, if he's not, I don't know what he's doing now. He could do some conventions as Mario or Luigi.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think so.
We'll cosplay there.
Guy, I'll tell you that. He looked intimidating, man. Todd Froworth. Now look at that angle of that arm.
Yeah, look at that.
I wonder if he had look at that.
That ball, think of this underspin that you could get
that ball probably traveled up, right? Like with that release, it probably comes up. From down
a little bit, of course. And now obviously, there used to be Kent DeColvey and Dan Quisenberry. Now Tyler Rogers of the Giants. Have you seen it? Like Tyler Rogers is so low. Like that guy's hand, look, what is that? 2.5, 3 feet off the ground. Like it's still up in the air. Tyler Rogers of the Giants, his fingers are like an inch from the ground.
Wow.
Like he's almost under. It's crazy. If you haven't checked it out.
I'm gonna go watch a video of that.
Yeah, go check that out.
I want to see how that ball moves.
Yeah, side armors are always interesting.
All right, Von Hayes. here.
Remember the Von Hayes story we had? It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, the Christmas episode.
There you go. That's it right here.
Von Hayes, yeah, very good career. Bill Von Hayes, yep.
All right, we got Hubie Brooks.
Hubie Brooks.
Yeah.
Hubie Brooks, if I'm not mistaken, check it here, Armando. I think he hit 341 one year.
Let me see here. Average.
Can you see it? Are they little?
No, I'm looking. Yeah, 340 in 86.
340. I was off by a point
with the Expos, and then he hit 309 and 307 and 80 and 81 with the Mets.
Yeah, 340. I was off by a point. Dang it, I thought it was 341.
Tell you this. That's how I looked running the bases, man. It looked like he took some time to get there.
Well, that was toward the end of his career too, Armando. He started in 1980.
That was when I was 9 years old. I was running the bases like that.
Hey, when you hit, did you use 2 batting gloves, 1 batting glove, no batting glove?
I went through different. There was times I used it, sometimes I did it. I wasn't big on that. I took forever running the base. I was not a quick kid.
Okay.
Jeff Blauser.
Jeff Blauser, yeah, for the Braves. What team is he on there? Twins? What is that?
No, that's the Braves.
Both Braves. Okay, yeah. He was kind of a glove middle infielder. Yeah,
Okay.
Decent career.
Okay.
Yeah.
We got Pat Borders.
Pat Borders, the catcher. Yeah, look at that.
That's the hairstyle. The 80s right there.
And he's not a fat guy. He's kind of puffing his chest out, so it looks like he's a little chunky. He was not a chunky guy. Look at how big that catcher's glove looks, too.
I know.
On the back of these cards, do they have like a did you know, or is there like a biography kind of thing, or is it just stats?
So it has a Pat's dramatic 3-run homer in the 10th inning. So it looks like they just given like a little thing about the year or something like that.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, that was in Pat's dramatic 3-run home run in the 10th inning produced the game's only scoring and gave the Blue Jays a 3-0 victory versus the Angels at Anaheim Stadium in September 24th, 91.
Nice.
Yeah. So we got Jaime Navarro.
Jaime Navarro. I don't remember much about old Jaime. Gotta be honest.
I don't know him, but I know the next guy.
Okay.
Doc Gooden.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. There he is.
Dr. K. What's his career strikeout rate? Like 7 batters per 9 innings. Like he was called Dr. K because like his first year he had 276 strikeouts, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 276 strikeouts his first season. His career strikeout rate per 9 innings is 7.4. That's a full point below the major league average right now. And he was called Dr. K. So the game was very different back in the day, Armando.
Yeah, 276, you said, and the following year, 268, back-to-back years. Wow.
Yeah. In 1985, 24-4 with a 1.5 ERA. It was magical.
Mike Flanagan.
Mike Flanagan, pitcher. Yep. Orioles. There you go. Yeah. Mike Flanagan, kind of a soft tosser that, didn't miss many bats, but good innings eater. Yeah.
All right.
That's for you, Phil Backert.
I did. You see, I did know him. Bobby Rose.
Bobby Rose. Look at that. Bobby Rose looks like a defensive player. That stance does not look very intimidating, Armando. What do you think?
No, not at all. Not at all.
No, it really doesn't.
I think I might be able to, if I get low in the way, I can maybe get him swinging.
Yeah, I'm gonna hit a ground ball between second base and first base. That's what that looks like.
I remember this guy, John Olerud.
Yeah, Olerud wore the hat 'cause he had a aneurysm or something. Some issue with his brain at one point when he was in college, I think. So he always wore the helmet even when he was in the field. He had a beautiful swing, really smooth. Won the batting title one. He hit 360 one year, didn't he? 362.
I have 375 and 89.
375. Oh, there it was. He's even better than I thought. Yeah.
Oh, no, but that was only 6 games. I'm sorry. But then it only goes to these. So these are 91. So it only has 91.
1993 hit 363.
Wow.
So apparently every batting average, I'm off by 1 point today. Because I was off by a point with Hubie Brooks. I'm off by a point with John Olerud. But yeah, he won the batting title.
You're still on point.
Yeah,
still on point.
Thank you. He won the batting title. He went 20, 100, 100 and hit 363.
He was a good player. I remember.
Very good player. Yeah.
Billy Spears.
Billy Spears. Yep.
Don't know him.
Don't know him? There's not much to know there. I think you're okay not knowing him, Armando. Give that card to your son.
Then Willie Banks.
Willie Banks. All right. Willie Banks. Yeah, he threw pretty hard if I remember correctly. He looks pretty serious out there. Yeah.
So that's it. And then we got a little scratcher. I've never scratched these, so God knows what this is. So I don't know what that is.
We didn't get the Mike Mussina rookie card.
We did not. The gentleman that sold this to me probably did.
Yeah, there you go.
You just have to have with good spirit, Ray. With good spirit.
Chipper Jones, top prospect card. We didn't get that.
Chipper Jones was awesome. Used to love him.
They had some pretty good. Frank Thomas sitting by a bunch of balls in the batting cage. They had some interesting looking cards. Ricky Henderson's record breaker for stolen bases. There's some cool looking cards actually in this set.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. Well,
you look for the box of this set.
By the way, if you haven't seen it, the best card in this set is probably I can't take a screen capture in time. Look up the 1992 Topps Manny Ramirez draft pick card. That's a picture of him like at 18 or something. It looks like he's wearing a beer league jersey. It's pretty good.
All right. I'm gonna look that up.
Yeah,
I'm gonna look that up today.
All right, Armando, that was cool. Thank you for doing that. I appreciate that. I believe that the listeners do, the followers do too. Obviously, you'll be back tomorrow talking with Justin Fensman here on the show. We'll be talking basketball with him. How are things going with hoops? I know March Madness starts today, right? So that excitement's there.
Yep, that excitement's there. We got obviously NBA, March Madness. I'll be recording this week. The Mind of Marsal, it's today. I'll be recording with Bob Harris. He's coming on.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk some football. He's a friend of the podcast there. And NBA cheat sheet, I'll be on that today as well. Be in Discord answering questions. I'll be on it as well tomorrow and Thursday. And just keep an eye on the free agency tracker. We also got our rookie profiles up and running on the site now. The NFL rookie profiles. Tyler started off yesterday. We also got one today. I got one later in the week. And we're going to be doing that every day, Monday through Friday. One different profile each and every day to get everyone ready for the start of, I mean, look, NFL draft right around the corner. I know it's still a couple of weeks, but I still think it's around the corner, Ray. So lots of content there on the site, lots of things to look forward to here. Excited about all of that.
And on the baseball side of things, we're also cranking out player profiles. That's kind of the MO right now. Today, we already have 3 player profiles up. 2 for me, Tyler Fitzgerald and Heliot Ramos, both Giants. So those are up at fantasyguru.com. And Jeff Mann's review of Roman Anthony, the superstar prospect of the Red Sox, is also up. So we are player profile crazy over at Fantasy Guru right now. Click that subscribe tab in the top right corner and choose your sport. Have at it. You can always send a note to support@fantasyguru.com. Support@fantasyguru.com. Thanks for your time today, Armando. We really appreciate it. We'll talk to you again next Tuesday at 12:30, and you'll be with Justin Fensman tomorrow on Wednesday at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time as well.
Thank you so much for having me on, Ray.
You got it. He's Armando Marsal. I'm Ray Flowers. She'll be back here tomorrow with Justin and Armando, so stay tuned for that. I'll be returning on Thursday. Tomorrow I'm with Jeff Mans on Elite Sports, Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio, Monday through Friday, 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. For Armando, I'm Ray. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll see you again tomorrow here on Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by fantasyguru.com.